You probably have a couple questions. Why? Why did it take me so long to review this album by Chappell Roan? And I'm reviewing it now, so why now? Well, the first question, a lot of people missed the album when it came out last year, almost a year ago in September 2023. I'm no different than everyone else, although I probably should have picked up on it. And then, she had this huge explosion in the last couple of months, and she got all this buzz, and everyone revisited it, and I still didn't do it. So you might be wondering, why now? Well, I'll tell you. I have a daughter. I review a lot of music that actually I have two daughters at this point, maybe three. We'll see what happens when I have my baby soon. And I listen a lot to her musical taste, and she'll often, try to beg me to review something. You see Conan Gray back there. More on him soon. I've done a lot of videos about music that she likes, and she has a really good sense. So she came back from a summer program. It was at an all-girls college, and it was about women in leadership. And if you think a girl can go to an all-girls college, pre-college program in the summer of 2024 and not come back a huge Chappell Roan fan, then you, my friend, do not understand the universe. She came back with a love of Chappell Roan and a reasonable distrust of the principles of Sheryl Sandberg. I think both those things kind of go together. And thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's been having fun. It's really fun reviewing music that my kids care about, because it's the usual dynamic is I don't care what my parents care about, but they do care about what I care about, and that's nice. If you have a good relationship with your kids, if you show a lot of respect to what they care about, they tend to like what you like, and vice versa. So it's been this sort of fascinating moment where we're listening together, and she just really wants me to like it and wants me to understand it so I can understand it better. If you want to see maybe the cutest video we ever did together, we watched the entire. I reviewed My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, and while reviewing it, she did makeup so that I looked like Gerard Way. I'll include a link to that in the description or right above. It's pretty fun. She wanted to put me in full makeup for this whole thing, but I settled on just the bow. So, you can just imagine me in full makeup. I'm even actually unclear. I'm unclear like what's cool, for a cishet straight white middle-aged dude to do. But actually, it keeps my hair to my eyes. Why not? So, I'm asking her. I'm like, so what's she about? What's Chappell Roan about? Because this is the thing. I don't actually pay attention to, music Twitter. I'm not, on the discourse and the discords and all that stuff. In order for something to filter through to me, I'm not a typical middle-aged dad, but I'm closer to a middle-aged dad than to, a 20-year-old guy who spends 8 hours on Rate Your Music, I'm more like a typical middle-aged dad than I am a typical viewer of my own content, okay? So I'm asking her, what's she about? She's like, well, she's a very out and proud lesbian. I'm like, okay, cool, I like that. And she dresses like a drag queen. I'm like, okay, there's a lot to unpack. A woman who dresses like a male person performing as a woman. Very interesting. She said that she's known for her performances, and the main thing she said is, Dad, you just, you can't understand young people right now if you don't try to understand Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan? Is that her name? Is that her real name? It doesn't seem like a stage name, because it just sounds like chaperone. True story. I was a chaperone once for a middle school dance, and all the kids barely wanted to dance. They just wanted me to dance with the other chaperone because she was the other young person there. We didn't dance together. We were both with other people. Anyways, so that's the basic idea. And so I'm already interested. It's a name I've heard a lot about. A lot of you auditors have asked me to review her music, and my daughter's a big fan, and she has good taste in music. And it would help me to understand you, the youngs peoples, right? But how did I get totally sold? Listen. I'm doing a video, dear. That's my baby saying. I don't know if you could hear that. It's very cute. I'm gonna take a little sip of water just to see if that ends. It's okay. It's awfully cute. She probably knows I took one of her bows. So a prof has got a prof, and I looked at the credits, and whose name did I see? Daniel Nigro. That's what I saw. And when I saw that, I'm like, I've got to review this. Because listen, I pay a lot of attention to producers. And I'm not trying to do a thing of like, wow, there's this great queer female creator. Let's give all the credit to a dude. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, it is important to recognize excellence. It is important to recognize like how Jack Antonoff did such a great job helping produce music and helping many different women get their vision out there. You know, St. Vincent and Clairo and Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey. You know, like we need to celebrate these people. We need to celebrate them. They're behind the scenes. They're pushing buttons. They're coordinating. They're playing music, and they are great facilitators. They're not vampires, but they're facilitators. And so when you look at Dan Nigro's catalog, his roster, you know, you got Conan Gray. That's how I was first introduced to Daniel Nigro. Conan Gray isn't quite as big as Olivia Rodrigo, another Dan Nigro produced person. So this is just nice. You know, let's just really take some time to appreciate this great pop craftsman who's working with these artists and has figured out some way to make great music. I like Rick Beato. He's from a town just like one town over from here. But a lot of his shtick lately has been about like modern music being bad. Dude, come at me, bro. Listen to this music. Listen to Dan Nigro's music, and you tell me that it's not well constructed, that it's not well written, that it's not well mixed, that it's not well performed, that it's not well conceived, all of it. This is great. This is just a great pop album, which is further proof that music is never better or never worse at any time in human history. You just have to look better, okay? Is it too distracting, the bow? I wore a bow recently in a different video, but it was a black bow, so it was a little bit less noticeable. I don't know. I might try to pull it off. We'll see. I'm sure in the comment section you will tell me if I'm pulling it off. So, what are my thoughts? A lot of fast food pizza references in this album. So, like, the Make It Hot like Papa John's in the first song. 35 pizzas in 30 days. That's all I can think about. I just hear Papa John and I just think, 35 pizzas in 30 days. He's totally new to the pizza sector. That's all I can think of. And then even the big hit, Hot to Go, or at least my daughter's favorite song. Like, I swear to God, that's the slogan of... So I used to take my kids to Kmart when we lived in Santa Barbara. I went to Santa Barbara for grad school, and there's a Kmart in Goleta, California, and I used to take them there just to keep it real, because Goleta is such an unreal place. It's like in between the ocean and the mountains, and everything's so fine and fancy. So I used to go sometimes just to keep it real. I'd take them to get it real, and the pizza back then you could get a large pizza for $5, and I swear to God it said Hot to Go. Maybe it was hot and ready. I don't know. Anyways, so I think a lot about pizza while I'm listening to this album. Definitely the first half is not as good as the second half. And this is that funny thing where, you know, my daughter was excited that I was listening to this and we're listening to it together. And I ended up having to like reset it and reset it and reset it. So we got right up to Hot to Go and then restarted it. And she's like, Dad, the second half is better. And I'm like reminded of when you're trying to tell someone that a TV show is really good. And they make it through like halfway through the first episode of the first season. And you're like, no, you have to make it to like season 11 is where it gets good. You just have to watch the first 10 and a half seasons so that then you can really appreciate it. I swear to God, it's the best. So I really do like that. But I think it's on purpose. Like I think the first half, there's a flow to the album. There seems to be a large vision of, have I even talked about that I'm talking about the rise and fall of a Midwest princess? Have I even said the name of the album yet? I don't know, I'm just rocking here. You can't get a baby to be quiet. You can't do it. You can try. You can't succeed. So anyways, I do think there is a flow to this album, and I think it kind of starts in a very sort of raunchy, as I will say, kind of bratty way. And then it sort of evolves into a more contemplative album towards the end. And so I think that's on purpose. So it makes sense that it has that kind of move. I do think a lot of Brat when I listen to this. I sort of think this album might have just... It's like... It's not inspired by Brat at all, because Brat came out a year after. But it could be that our culture is needing something. Like our culture needs something. And that thing that it needs is like that FOMO YOLO energy of like early Kesha, but like mixed with modern consciousness, with like more class consciousness, race consciousness, sexuality, gender consciousness, like that same kind of youthful explosion and joy and hedonism, but not quite as empty. Like a more spiritual hedonism. It seems to be that that's what Brat Summer is about, and this album was needed. You know, it happens sometimes. You know, when Nirvana blew up, older albums from Seattle got famous because, like, you know, it's music from Seattle. It's just, it really seems like it is a sort of gayer Brat Summer accompaniment. And as you can tell by the bow, I'm here for it. It also reminds me a lot of St. Vincent, just in the way that the thematics seem to be. So, if you've never seen, what's that comedian's name? Chris Jeffries, is that the guy's name? Who does the grad school shuffle? Anyways, he has this whole thing where he gets mad at St. Vincent because she wrote a tweet once that said, "I love being in New York with all the freaks like me." And his joke is, or their joke is, you know, "You're not a freak. A freak is a computer science major from Albany. You're a hot woman surrounded by hot people in New York City." There's that kind of like, we're so wacky, this kind of like Midwest woman falls in love with the coasts and all the things that it can provide. That's sort of why I'm including this in the background as well. I do think Lou Reed's Transformer is an interesting counterpoint to this album, because obviously the biggest hit off this album is Walk on the Wild Side, which is a lot about that desire to go to a place where alternate sexuality, alternate gender is more appreciated. Now, the way that Lou Reed does it, it's a lot darker. It's a lot more sort of like intentionally shocking, sort of a less positive image, but I think it's an important step towards the equality that we're looking for. Okay, I'm now ready to potentially annoy you, okay? I'm going to give you some feminist nitpicks. Now, I don't know what wave feminist I am. I know I love Simone de Beauvoir. I know that I've read a lot of feminist theory, and I've taught a lot of feminist theory, mostly by French theorists. But I have 2 points. One, can we please go back and listen to that Girl in Red album again? I feel like she was rejected because we were tired of her. But that album is really good. She is still a great star. I don't want it to be a thing where it's like there gets to be one super out female pop star. So I think it is our job, and I did my part. I gave a positive review of that album because I think it's good. I think Girl in Red's new album is good, even great at times. I think we need to make sure that there's enough space in the pop sphere to have 2 very out female stars. Okay, now the second one's much more theoretical. This is the thing. Born with it, right? That's the idea, right? That's one of the most important things that we can put forth, is that people are either born straight or gay or bi or whatever, right? That it's not a choice that people make. And what's important about that is that when you accept that fact, or when you take that perspective, because, right, these are different perspectives, then it is a hedge against homophobia, because if that is just the way one is born, it is not a moral choice, it is not a lifestyle choice, it is just the way you are. The same way that you are 6'1" or 5'2", or that you have a pinky finger that didn't grow as long as on one hand as on the other, is the same way that you are either gay or straight or bi, etc. Right? So a lot of this album feels like propaganda for being a lesbian. I'm going to nuance this. So before you cancel me, what am I saying? No one's going to cancel me. But before you get mad at me and say that I'm doing something wrong, I don't think that's actually what's happening. But if I were a reactionary man listening to this album, if I were a less enlightened, less feminist, overtly feminist, I would hear a lot of this music and say, a lot of it is about like putting down men and discussing how much better it is to be with women. So that creates a problem in my head, because if it's a choice, just that men just happen to be so lame that you might as well be with women, then that undercuts the born this way statement. I brought this up to my daughter. She said, "No, Dad, you're wrong." Okay? She said, "No, Dad, it's just empowering and being happy with who you are. And it's just made so that, that instead of feeling less than, lesbians can feel like great and strong." So I'm going to ask you, who are you going to trust on a question like this? Some 16-year-old girl or a professor with a PhD? The answer's clear. You don't, right? Isn't that what's great? Have I told you recently that young people are smarter than old people? It's just true. And it will be true when you're old too. So don't get too excited. Your kids, should you choose to have them, you don't have to have them. I don't care what couch humpers say. You don't have to have babies to be a good person. But if you choose to have a baby, that baby's going to be smarter than you. That's just the way life is. Anyways, if you like this video so far, smash like button, subscribe. You tell me in the comments if I pull off the bow or not. Should this be my new thing? Should this be my new branding? Oh, hey, if you recognize what this pin is, you can tell me in the comments. It's fairly obscure. Okay, so let me go through the album, sort of song by song. I normally have a stamp, but the whole album is just so strong, and the first track is a good example song. Anyways, it's not my favorite track. You can guess what my favorite track is. I don't think you'll get it right, though. So, Phenomenon. Femininomenon. I think she's too young to know phenomena. Dun, 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 dun. Phenomena. Dun, 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 dun. Or something like a phenomenon, baby. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what? You're just going to have to ride with me. In the 80s, there was a Muppet Show sketch that was phenomena. Do, 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 do. Phenomena. Do, 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 do. And then like a couple years later, or earlier, I don't know, because I was a kid, there was a song by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five called White Lines Don't Do It, where they go, something like a phenomenon, baby. And in my head, that's always been connected. Phenomena. Do, 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 do. So anyways, we now have Phenomenon. Now, the great thing about reviewing this album way too late is that I can now have all this stuff that's been written there. She says, no man could literally get me off, and my co-writer and I were just messing around and made up the word. It's so weird. So before I get into the music, I don't do commercials on this channel. But I do sometimes suggest books. Hi, I'm Professor Skye. Are you a straight man? Might I suggest you get this book? This is a book about how to please women sexually. You might be proud. You might think, hey, I know how to do it. I'm Johnny Goody. It doesn't matter what you think. This book is necessary for you, okay? And now there's two things. One thing is bad, straight man watching this, is that like, oh, come on, dude, we should just know how to do this. But listen, patriarchy means you don't know how to do it. Patriarchy means you don't know how to do it. And let me tell you, the world is a better place when you do. The world is a better place. You're happier, your partner's happier, everyone's happier. The accomplishment and joy, it's all out there. And that's what this book by Dr. Ian Kerner is all about. So if you don't have it, and you're a straight man, go get it. If you're a straight woman with a man, get it for him. And I'm not saying to dump any man who doesn't have this book, but maybe dump any man who won't read it. Because that's how we get out of this situation, you know? Like that's how, if every straight man had this book, if this was given, I'll never run for president. If this book were given to every kid in high school, it would just be a better place. Maybe we wouldn't have to have all this panic if men weren't so afraid of female sexuality that they made themselves bad at it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I can hear my daughter regretting asking me to do this video. It's like a disturbance in the force. Okay, so it starts off with these strings and a nice soaring voice, and it's this whole kind of theme, men not being able to make it happen, and it's silly and it's serious, and that's the thing, it's silly. It's a silly, funny thing, but it's also serious. It's also serious because patriarchy has always had female sexual pleasure as a threat. That is the way men see it. And then ironically, they also see lesbianism as a threat. It's all a threat. Basically, straight white men for the last couple thousands of years have just been really afraid that they're not good enough in bed. So that leads them to like kill other men who they think might be better than them. That leads them to ignore their wives. Basically, you don't fire me, I quit. And it could all be solved. It's in a book, man. It's in a book. You don't even... It's in a book. It's right there. Anyways. And really sticks to that theme, but I love it. I love this, the way it builds up. Can you play a song with a fucking beat? And then it becomes like a party song. It's awesome. And then it gets real depressing in the second verse. So let's say it's working out. You pretend to love his mother, lying to your friends about how he's such a goddamn good lover, stuck in the suburbs, you're folding his laundry. Got what you wanted, so stop feeling sorry. Crying at the nail salon, I'm so sick of online love. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So it's really bleak, right? Because we now have like a woman who theoretically has achieved life's goal, which is to be a suburban, not necessarily housewife, but just in the suburbs with somebody who they love and all that. But that at the basis of it all is this lack of satisfaction. This is a scary album, by the way. This is scary. This is, as a cis-het white male, this is scary. This makes me scared. This makes me like, I haven't read it like recently. Gotta get my game up. Or else Chappell Roan's gonna steal my wife. Did you see that? Like, that's not... Anyways. Ladies, you know what he need. You know what you need, and so does he. False. That's the problem. That's the problem. Thanks to patriarchy, men don't know what women need. And thanks to patriarchy, they don't even ask. And thanks to patriarchy, they don't do anything. So... if you want to fight patriarchy, just tell them. I love the post-bridge, this cool kind of percussion version of it. It's great. We get to this next song, Red Wine Supernova, which is okay. It's kind of like a straightforward pop song. It's smooth. It's well made. This is not my favorite bit. The second half gets particularly good when it gets either like more acoustic or more synth poppy. But it does kind of get elevated with this chorus, the way it's just repeated over and over again. But it's hard because it's like Oasis has a song called Champagne Supernova. I don't like Oasis. I'm sorry. You might like Oasis. I don't like them. I tried. I bought their album. I tried. Back in 1990, whatever. I bought their album on tape. I listened to it in my Ford Windstar. And I got to tell you, it just never hit. It always just didn't hit. But anyways, this is better than Champagne Supernova. Super raunchy, real raunchy. Heard you like magic, got a wand and a rabbit, so baby, let's get freaky, get kinky, let's make this bed get squeaky. And this is really important stuff. It's really important that female pop stars keep pushing female sexuality into the fore. Billie Eilish is doing her job, Charli XCX is doing her job, Megan Thee Stallion is doing her job. Taylor Swift is, even she gets there, she's not quite here, but she's getting there. We just need more of this. This is like legitimately an important step towards equality. It might not seem it. It might just seem horny, but it's important. Next song is called After Midnight. My daughter does not like this song. So I still listen to it. I kind of like it. I like the bass on here. It's kind of funky. I think my daughter doesn't like it because she still thinks she doesn't like Chromeo. I know that she does, but she keeps insisting she doesn't. It's funny because I played her the original, not the original, but a different song called After Midnight. No, not the Eric Clapton bastardization, the original J.J. Cale song. And oh my God, we had a great time. We were driving to go get, we were getting a baguette at the bakery, and we were just driving. After midnight, we gonna let it all hang out. The J.J. Cale original, that song. Do yourself a favor. Please, listen to J.J. Cale After Midnight. What a song. But I like this song, though, because, it is sort of an initiation album, it feels to me. But it really feels like it's really talking, especially, not exclusively, but especially to young gay girls who just feel like they don't have anyone speaking for them, who feel alone, who feel separated. My mama said nothing good happens when it's late and you're dancing alone. She said in my head, you're not attractive wearing that dress and red lipstick. This mother voice is always kind of in the back, kind of disparaging. A very sort of Taylor-like chorus, Taylor Swift, that is to say. Super over-repeated chorus. And then we get to Coffee. Now, my daughter wanted me to skip this, but she just wanted me to skip this because she just wants to hear Hot to Go. And now that I've listened to the album a little bit more, I get it. I mean, there is more album than Hot to Go, but once you know that Hot to Go exists, why else are you listening to any music, frankly? But Coffee is great. Like, I like it because it's very vocal-led, not producer-led. You know, this really feels like this is Chappell Roan as a songwriter. Well, of course, it's all co-written by Dan Nigro. But this is like one of those songs that's just a perfectly written pop song. This, again, I have to keep going back to Taylor Swift because this is so good you might think it's a Taylor Swift song because it does that thing where it tells a very deep, rich, true human story in the most kind of silly, frivolous way. Like, if we have coffee, that's fine, but if we have wine, but the way it just brings you in. I'll meet you for coffee because if we have wine, you'll say that you want me. I know that's a lie. If I didn't love you, it would be fine. Everything, you know, it's sort of like Baby, It's Cold Outside from a third person. You know? I don't know. It kind of gets there. And what I love is that the song keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse until we reach the point where she says we can't do coffee because coffee is never just coffee. You know, as somebody who has been in relationships most of my adult life, who has been broken up and then gotten back together again because I left some CDs, and so I had to go pick up the CDs and we got back together again. But what was I doing? I knew what I was doing. She knew what I was doing. We all knew what I was doing. My brother knew what I was doing. He's like, dude, do not just let the CDs go. Let the dude, don't go. And then I went, you know, it's never just coffee. Awesome songwriting. Casual, great kind of faraway drum and kind of a buzzy sound. Almost sort of like Shania Twain. Does that sound crazy to you? I don't know. There's another thing about this. Like, we're in this age where pop music can be very raunchy but vulgar. And I mean that in like a good way, like the way people actually speak. And just referring to yourself as just someone that you bang on a couch. I really enjoy that. This chorus is super catchy. You know, you find yourself catching it. You know, you find yourself singing it while you're walking around, eating in the backseat. You know, and it's great because it's. I was talking about this with my daughter. You know, that this term situationship exists, and it's a very good expression. But situationships have always existed. It's just we have a word for it now, and part of the reason we have a word for it now is that technology makes having a situationship easier to get into and harder to get out of. But situationships have always existed. I like how there seems to be some kind of theme of like meeting someone's parents and then having sex with them in the bathroom during that introductory dinner. This all just feels like very real young people stuff to me. You know, like, I don't know. I don't think I ever did that when I was younger, but I totally would have. You know, it just seems like a totally stupid young person thing to do. Like, there's a real authenticity to this whole album. And I love this idea of like, if this is really so casual, then how come I have my bra on your dresser and I had to talk down your sister? What a great detail. You know, this really comes from real life. And saying that she's not the chill girl. And this is another thing, while I'm talking to you young people out there, just know what you're cool with. You know, there's a lot of societal pressure to be cool with things that you might not be cool with. Just, you know, I'm not cool with it. You know? No, I don't want to be in an open relationship. Nope. That makes me square. Cool. I'm square. Call me Senor Blockhead, because I don't want that. I don't mind. Do you want that? That's awesome. You want that. Sweet. Good for you. Vaya con Dios. But not vaya con míos. Anyways, I think it's an important thing, because as we're in this stage of developing relationships and everything growing and all of us figuring all these things out and threeples and thruples and couples and quadruples and all that stuff, like, it's okay to not be a chill girl. I'm not a chill girl. I'm not a chill guy. I'm not a chill dude. All those things, I know what my boundaries are, and you got to enforce them. The outro is really nice. It's a very relatable song. Then we get to Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl. Very kind of brat style. Never waste a Friday night on a first date. I've never heard that rule, but it makes sense. I don't know if I really like the song. I like it, but it's very Madonna. So she seems to be in a very Madonna stage. And then it was like this Madonna. And then the actual chorus kicked in, and it was like that Madonna. It just got super duper duper Madonna. And again, it's that whole kind of idea of if I were a reactionary cishet white male terrified of female sexuality, I would potentially be afraid of, as literary theorists would call it, the castration implied by this album, because it really does seem like it's just sort of, I'm through with all these hyper mega bummer boys like you, I need a super graphic ultra modern girl like me, just that boys suck. I think that's one of the lines from the song, or a different song, and so just, be with ladies, Am I being too unnuanced? Hey, if you are watching this and you're like upset by the way I've been phrasing this, because I've been a little bit tongue-in-cheek, kind of having fun with this, feel free to write a comment in the comment section where you outline your frustrations and how you think I should have said it better, and I'll pin that and we can have a little back and forth. Okay, we've all been waiting 5, 6, 7, 8 into Hot to Go. I actually have a house guest here, very full house, and she's a dancer, and I asked her why don't they just say 1, 2, 3, 4? Why did they go 5, 6, 7, 8? And she said, well, because most dance movements go at least 2 bars. I didn't know. And that friend of mine who's here as well, she's also a scholar of Prince music. And so I was obsessed because I heard this song and I was like, oh, what song is this off of 1999? And she said Automatic, and then I said Delusional. So we listened to them back to back. It's both. Hot to Go is like Delusional and Automatic by Prince squished into one. We're in the synth pop part of this album, and I'm super, super psyched. It's more kind of a sort of like a seductively sad, in a way it's kind of a sad song about kind of casual sex and stuff, but it's good. It's just so exciting because she's so excited. Is that crying bothering you too much? It is her nap time, but I'm a half an hour in, so I just have to keep going. So we'll have to see. I just wish I could tell my wife that it's not that big of a deal. It's alright, she'll figure it out. How real is this? So then there's a dance, and I had my daughter teach me the dance. And let me tell you, this dance is also against men. Do you know why? Because you have to touch your toes. Did you know that men have tighter hamstrings than women? It's true. It is a lot harder for men to touch their toes. So when I did this whole snap, clap, touch your toes, I was like, snap, clap, and I was able to go down that far. But then the rest of it, H-O-T-T-O-G-O, did the whole thing. It was super fun. Even the little baby down there who was crying was walking around. She was trying to do it. It's just great. A lot of times you just got to say, you do it. If you hear the song and you go, it's just a standard kind of pop banger style song. Just you do it. Let me know, anyone can do it. You seriously do it. Weirdly enough, having the baby cry in the back reminds me of the album Berlin by Lou Reed, which makes that album unlistenable. It's just terrible. I promise you, though, she is not in duress. She's just a 2-year-old. Maybe I need to stop. I think I do. I'll be back, y'all. Okay, things are better. I think she wanted her bow back, so I'm going to be unadorned for the rest of the video. I picked her up, changed her diaper, hung around, sang her the Brown Bear song. I think everything's fine. So let's get to the rest of the album. After the amazing highs of Hot to Go, can the album still be as good? Of course, we have My Kink is Karma, which is, listen, there's no way not to hear this as a Taylor Swift inspired song. It has all the hallmarks, all that same thing I was talking about with Coffee, the kind of simple brilliance of a Taylor Swift song, the kind of heartbreaking precision, the depiction of pettiness, everything. But again, it's just a little bit more. It's a little bit, as the kids would say, a little bit extra, obviously calling My Kink is Karma. But it's, I don't know. Again, it's that same question. If you think it sounds so much like a Taylor Swift song, you write one. Because currently there are very few people who can write songs at that level, that quality, especially in the pop sphere. It's comical, bridges you burn. See, now my hair's all my way. I need the bow. It's comical, bridges you burn. If karma's real, hope it's your turn. I heard from Katie, you're losing it lately, moved back with your parents and date girls who are 18. Well. It's just vicious, I don't know who Katie is, but that makes it feel more real. And, date girls who are 18. I just love it. There's this great moment before the acoustic guitar where the guitar, this electric guitar kind of whines, and There's this great kind of double bass over guitar. It's really, really nice. And then we get to the song Picture You, sort of a, I don't know if this is like a Daniel Nigro technique, but he tends to have at least one sort of oldie style 50s song on each of the albums he produces. Kind of a warbled 50s acoustic guitar. There's a kind of chord progression, which I call box chords, which is kind of like go and just like resolve. You know, do 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 do, right? It has that kind of box feeling. And this is the song which I first heard, and I'm like, oh, what a sweet song about missing somebody you used to be with. Nope, no, it's a masturbation song. Again, this is important. You know, this stuff's important. The more songs about female masturbation that exist, the better the world will be, right? It goes all back to that central pleasure, that female sexuality is to be taken seriously and needs to be mainstreamed as much as possible. This is maybe kind of a filler song, but still, the sort of the aching nature of it, the way that it really feels like it's calling out to be seen and be touched and be felt, and the fantasy play of it. As a dude, I don't really relate to this, but I imagine were I not a dude, I would relate to it a lot. It's kind of a yodel thing going on here, like a yodeling thing that seems a little bit unnatural, but it's nice. Then we get to Kaleidoscope. Again, her songwriting is just pretty outstanding. There's kind of a harmonium sound here, some pianos, and we just have this whole metaphor of love being like a kaleidoscope. You know, like how does it work? How does it work? And listen, I know how kaleidoscopes work. I've made a kaleidoscope before, or my brother made one. He told me how it worked. It's not that complicated, really. You just have like little discs that are different colors and you shape them. But still, it's a nice image. It's a nice idea of something that's like beautiful and incomprehensible, like a kaleidoscope. I like the image. I think it works well. This is kind of a torch song. It's very grand. A lot of this music feels like she's writing it to be epic and to be grand, and I think for the most part she succeeds almost every case. And no case better than my favorite track off the album, The Pink Pony Club. Now I saw the title and I thought, this is gonna get nuts. I don't know what the Pink Pony Club is, but given the rest of this album, this song is going to be feminine-nominal. This is going to be just the biggest club banger. This is going to be like hot to go, but I guess not. Some swirling pianos and this whole theme of leaving LA. I think this song is in conversation with Walk on the Wild Side. I think we can see it as kind of a less racist Walk on the Wild Side. Complicated. About like this girl from Tennessee, a young woman from Tennessee who moves out to LA to dance at what is ostensibly like a gay club or a gay-friendly club or a club where she says girls and boys can be queens. And then fortunately there's an unexpected synth shift and it kind of becomes more upbeat like I expected it to. And it's this very sort of pro-sexuality, maybe even pro, because I mean, I don't know, is she a stripper? Is she just a dancer? Whatever it is, she moved to LA because she's in this town in Tennessee and she wanted to make it happen. She wanted to feel connected to people who had her desires, who had her, where she could see herself, and that place was in LA at the Pink Pony Club, which is a real club in West Hollywood that doesn't exist. So I've been to West Hollywood quite a few times. I used to live in LA. It's a very gay-friendly area. And if you go, it's right off Santa Monica. You can go to the Pink Pony Club. There's no building there, but a lot of West Hollywood is the Pink Pony Club. Okay? These places matter. These places really matter where people can go and feel free and be and exist. Okay? Yeah, listen, the chances that I am telling you something you don't know are slim, but these things need to be said, okay? So, true story, the only club I've ever been to, I've never been to a club my entire life. I did go to the gay club in Rochester, New York, a very weird time when I was in, it was like after my divorce, and like I wasn't like going to like dance with dudes, but like I was hanging around with some other people and like, let's go. I'm like, yeah, what the heck? And I was like still dressed up in my suit and stuff like I do when I teach. I felt very awkward. First time in my entire life I ever seen one of my own students outside of class. And they were like, Monsieur Payne? Like, we were like watching a drag show or something. Yeah, here I am. I'm at Tilt. Booga, booga, H-O-T-T-O. Anyways, fun stuff. And just, I want to share like why I love this song so much. I mean, beyond the fact that I imagine that a lot of young girls especially hear this song and really relate to it. A lot of them probably feel like they're trapped and like there's no place for them because of the way they feel, because of the way they're born, because of who they're attracted to, because of this world that they know exists but they can't imagine because they're stuck somewhere. Maybe that place is in Tennessee, or maybe that place is in Australia, or maybe it's in France, or maybe it's in Algeria, or maybe it's in India, or maybe it's in China, right? Like there's this longing is so universal. So I was like walking, right? So this morning I didn't have my keys. I lost my keys, and I have a very limited time to go to the gym, which is where I usually listen to music. So I just, instead of going to the gym, I walked to the gym, which is a 45-minute walk, and then I just walked back. And while I was there on this very busy road, named after the second president of the United States here in Rochester, New York. And it was like this just very busy road where nobody walks. And there was this dude who was walking down the street, and he looked like Senor Cardgage, if you know who that is, who looked like Bob from Twin Peaks, if you know who that is. Real sketchy looking dude, carrying a motorcycle helmet. He couldn't have possibly had a motorcycle. Why would you park wherever he parked his motorcycle? It was at least a mile away. I can't figure out what this guy was. And we walked by, and it's kind of a tense moment. And I realized he must have seen me, because this was the first time I ever listened to this song. And I was mouthing the words by the end of the chorus. So here we have Senator Cardgage, Bob from Twin Peaks, sitting there, and he sees me. And just kind of give a little wave. So anyways, it's that kind of joy. The song that, like, the freedom of the song, even if it is not a freedom that is speaking to you directly, it is infectious. And then as I continued the walk, I marveled at the natural beauty that can exist even in such a paved over place, as there is this beautiful ravine filled with disposable vapes. Naked in Manhattan, more synths, that's what I want, more synth rock, less Shania Twain style stuff. This reminds me strongly of Eurythmics, this cool kind of phone message, all this like, this is the song that says, boys suck. Again. She Comes First by Ian Kerner. Great book. If you want to anyways, if you want to apply less and more to that sentiment, it's a really sweet song. It's a seduction song. It's a song about what I imagine, again, because I'm straight. I've never had that situation where I've been with a dude and then I'm like, what if I kissed him? I want to kiss him. That'd be good, right? But that must be an experience that happens right now, must be happening thousands of times in the world. So to have a song from that perspective of a girl who wants to make out with her friend and no longer be friends again, and the rush of slumber party kissing and this whole kind of feeling of like I've never done it before, and the excitement, it's just, I don't know, it just makes me happy. It makes me happy that there's music out there for the people. It's not like dancing around. It's not speaking in euphemism. It's not talking about like magic gardens and, velvet drapes and stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like, there's no like witch imagery or there's no like coding. It's just like, I'm gay. I hope she's gay. I hope we make out. Let me tell about the story. And it's very sweet, these little details of both liking the same Lana Del Rey song and both being attracted to Regina George from Mean Girls. I asked my daughter which one that was, and she said the one from the girl who was in The Notebook. So I think, not Amy Adams. Who is that? Rachel McAdams. Yeah, that her. In New York, you can try everything. I love this line. Could go to hell, but we'll probably be fine. I don't think you should get a tattoo. Frankly, I think tattoos, you're going to regret them, because really, like, young people, like millennials got a lot of tattoos. So at a certain point, tattoos are just going to be what old people have. But if you did, you could do worse than could go to hell, but we'll probably be fine. I mean, that's like a good slogan, And then we get to California, sort of like, I like this song because it's sort of connected too Pink Pony Girl, the same kind of idea, this Midwestern girl who wants to go out. And I keep saying girl. She could be a girl, could be a young woman. I don't mean to infantilize all women by saying girl. It's a bad habit that I have, so feel free to be annoyed and put that in the comments as well. Kind of a different voice. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned how many different voices she has? She does have a tremendous singing voice, and she has all these different ways of vocalizing. She can be like loud and bratty, she can be quiet, she can have all these different tones. And just this whole line. I miss the seasons in Missouri, my dying town. Thought I'd be cool in California, I'd make you proud. To think I almost had it going, but I let you down. The idea of someone going out to California and not making it and failing, which is what I hate to tell you. Most people, when they go to California, they don't succeed. You know? I mean, when I lived in LA, I didn't make it into the movie industry. I mean, I mostly just like drank coffee at the Coffee Bean and played rod hockey with my friend Brad. That's not a euphemism. It's actually what we did. But you know, a lot of people try to make it and they don't. And this is a beautiful idea of like the dying town. Whew, Missouri's rough. Spend a little time in Missouri. It's a rough place. The album ends, maybe not on the strongest note, with Guilty Pleasure. A funny thing about Guilty Pleasure and Daniel Nigro. So I had this whole thing with my kids where anytime we go to a record store, I say, I'll buy you a record. Like, that's just a thing I do, you know, just because that way they want to go to record stores, I want to go to record stores, encourage music, support artists, all that. It's good stuff. So one time we were there, my daughter didn't know what she wanted to get. It's like, look, they have the Olivia Rodrigo album, entirely produced by Daniel Nigro. Not the new one, the old one. Not Guts, but not Guts, whatever the one was before that. And she's like, oh no, I don't like that album. I'm like, come on. That album, we love it. It's tough out there. Whatever that song is, we love that album. Come on. She's like, no, I don't like it. And then like a year later, she's like, you know, Dad, I really regret not getting that album. It's like, why is that? I actually did like it. I just thought that I wasn't cool enough. Like, I thought that she wasn't cool enough for me to like it. So I felt bad about myself. I was like, what did I tell you about the patriarchy? I need to send you off to a pre-college program, you know, because that's the thing. Like, usually guilty pleasures, 9 out of 10 times guilty pleasures are just things that people do that are usually associated with things that women generally like. That's usually what a guilty pleasure is. So I don't like the term. I don't have any guilty pleasures. I like things. And if I like them, I'm not guilty because it's just liking things. But the one thing I do like about the song, even though in general it's not my favorite, you know, it's like the kind of theme. Essentially, it's like a theme of like, you're like a drug, which is kind of a boring theme. It is interesting how the female figure of attraction in most of this album, it seems to be the same one who's broken up with, how she's a stoner. And she's like, that's not a problem. Probably would have been, eventually. If you're not also a stoner, it's hard to be in a relationship with a stoner. Like, I'm not saying, like, people are bad, but just that's tough. Because, like, hey, another sponsorship, no one wants to hang around you when you're stoned. They just don't. It's just not fun. And it's okay. But just, who likes that, man? Damn. Anyways, of all the themes here, this feels like it's a little bit beneath her in terms of the thematics of the rest of the album. You're a pothead, you're a cinephile, been a while since you turn up the dial. I don't know, her singing's a little bit too extra, but I like how it kind of brings a lot of things together because it starts off one way and then it basically ends with the sort of more Cranberries-like yodeling. If you don't know the Cranberries, look them up, they're a great band. More kind of Madonna-style singing and percussion. So it's a fine ending, but maybe not as strong as the rest. So there's my review. There's my review of this album. I'm super happy you were insistent, my Patreon, my auditors, to tell me to review it. I'm super happy that I could share this with my daughter because it's very good music. And these are my Patreons. They help me to buy music. I did go to the Record Archive today to buy this album. That was my goal. They did not have it on vinyl. They did not have it on CD. They did not have it on cassette. So I'm going to have to, I don't know, look for it online or something. But yeah, that'll be cool. So thank you. I also ask for shout outs if anyone wants a shout out. And I don't care what level you're at. If you're my Patreon, you might get a shout out if I remember to ask. So Jared Peterson wants one, and his sister, and his partner, Izzy Fox. So apparently those two people in his life really got him to like this album. So props to them. Andy Scudder, also from Missouri. Man, seriously, Missouri, it's a tough place to live, from what I've seen. Jack Dyson, Jack McConnell also asks for a shout out for K-Man, Paul Grossa, Ashley Harrington, the Rap King Michael, and Zach. You know, Zach asks for a shout out in almost every video. And if you're watching this and you're one of my Patrons, you can do that too. I don't care. Like, very few people are watching at this point except for you, my Patreons. All right. Well, until next time, I'll show you what this pen looks like because it's so cool. You probably aren't watching, so that's fine. It's a really cool pen. Check it out. Isn't that cool? All right. Until next time, there's Skye.